ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we're going to Shtiltsa today to see a Division 2, SD League match. Rang, who do we have in Shtiltsa and what's going down?
Left-hand side in the blue, we have Yamin, is a disgrace, playing 17% with Maverick income. Right-hand side in the red, we have P. Yuri Tanner, playing 3rd US Armoured, also with a Maverick income. And we're seeing the F6 fly about and... Right, I thought I was going to go for the other recon plane, but no, it's going to leave it be.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating to see. I mean, first of all, we are seeing a 20 mil coming out super early from Yamin. And, I mean, I guess Yamin probably watches some of these videos we put out, because I've been complaining about that for a week. But how's it going to kind of factor out? We have oh my gosh, there's an entire battery of machine guns in the south.
Oh yeah, those MG42s getting into position, catching the 50 cals out in the open. Definitely a very good play from Yamin, as well as a Pack 38 to cover the road. Yeah, just going to give him a good control over the southern side. But, oh, P-51.
Yeah, I don't think the Pack 38's making it out. Well, not without a lot of suppression damage. Then again... Oh, no. Okay, somehow he saw him. Oh, recon plane is still on the field. Yikes.
Yep, and we're seeing the Messerschmitt being brought into a really crazy airplay from both sides so far.
Well, it's one of those things, again, we talk about the fact that sometimes you have super early airplane play that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, and sometimes you never see an airplane for, the entire theater. I'm not sure I really understand the F6. Okay, no, he's trying to just spot. Okay,
yep.
Got it. All right, I can forgive that one.
At 120 was just being enough to ward off the airplane, just not enough to really shoot anything down, but enough to just stop him from shooting down Yamin's small little dinky recon plane.
Well, that's the thing too. This thing is, if you look at the FI-156. It's ridiculously cheap for a reason. It's because it's made of plywood. Like, you don't really want to be taking this over the battle space with any kind of regularity.
Oh, P-51 trying to go for a BF-109. Really get the kill?
You should be able to. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good snipe, but another BF-109 being brought in. But he's not going to be able to catch up. A P-51 is a pretty fast bugger. We're seeing down south, Yamin... I do like where his two 3-3s are located around the corner, but Tanner has quite a lot of firepower as well here in terms of armored vehicles.
That's true, but it is still 13-11 in favor of Yamin. 14-10, excuse me, in favor of Yamin. Yamin's gotten kind of a lot of territory as the middle is a little bit underutilized, let's call it. In terms of the third. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Really just the focus is happening all the way down south here. I mean, it does make sense from Yamin's perspective due to how well he curved Tanner's push early on. The nice thing about the southern side is that if he can clear off this hill, it's pretty easy to hold. You just slap some anti-tank guns on the edge of the hill and you shoot anyone who dares to come up it.
Well, the thing too is that both guys are playing for that A-B round, so, when push comes to shove, there's definitely AT guns to support that.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be, I mean, both divisions are definitely high-tier divisions. It's going to be interesting to see. 17th SS definitely a little bit better in the infantry, while 3rd Armoured is surprisingly has a lot of armoured vehicles, but it's still pretty pound for pound in terms of firepower. So it's really just going to come down to, it's going to come down to good play, surprisingly enough.
I don't know why it should come down to good play. I figure if it should just be going, tiers for the division, shouldn't it?
Of course.
who's ever running around with 18 Hellcats and things like that, that should be the winner, right?
Keep picking the C-tier divisions and I keep losing. Row is me.
Well, C is the 3rd letter of the alphabet, so therefore 3 is higher than 1, so that should work.
Yeah. I don't know enough about math to dispute yet, so I'm just going to go along with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some comments I could be making right now about the state of the Canadian education system, but I'm an American, so I have no room to talk.
We're seeing Tanner slowly push through the forest. He does have that Stuart recon, yeah, and there's not a whole lot of heavy armor here from Yamin. Really just those Marder Freeze in a very thin skin at 37mm can easily go through him.
Well, there's a JU-87 that's been brought out as kind of a speculative gun run, but there's still a Bofors too, so Bofors easily able to kind of keep things away. SS Legionary is going to run afoul of these armored rifles and the flamethrower troops down here, so...
Yeah.
Not... please.
They're going to be able to hold on for quite a while. Going to kill the flamethrowers, and I mean the armored rifles, just in general, the 3rd US infantry's decent, but not 17th SS decent. The main thing is just the amount of semi-automatic rifles you do get, and bazookas. Those bazookas are quite nice.
True. Very, very true. Stewart is going to go and engage infantry coming up over the wide open spaces there. I'm not entirely sure why he's not being a little bit more circumspect. Maybe driving on the southern side of this forest on the southern edge of the map.
Yeah, probably sort of moved those guys on a little bit more cover, yeah. But we're just seeing Yamin trying to surround Tanner's position here. He's bringing up guys from the northern side of the south and also trying to bring guys around the southern side of the south, while Tanner's pretty much boxed in just on the edge of the hill right now. But he has a lot of firepower, and it's just going to be about whether he can utilize that firepower to break out of his position.
Well, and he's got more of it all the time, too. I mean, what would actually be a really, really good idea is there is a naval buffer over here from Phase A for Yamin. Unfortunately, I don't think he's really investing in it too much.
No, definitely a heavy investment in airplanes otherwise. We've seen the 2 BF-109s being brought in to scare and array the F6, and I don't think... Nope, they're not going to get any rocket runs off, because American NTR is pretty heavy.
Ooh, and this martyr over here in the northern part of the hill goes down instantly. He's coming up, he had a shot ready and lined up, and then he hit a gun jam.
Yep.
Which is just, oh, man, like, you gotta feel bad for those digital soldiers there.
Yeah, those martyrs are not very good on the offense.
No, they are made to pick a spot, defend it, and just keep firing like crazy.
Yeah. But it seems like Tanner is slowly regaining momentum down south here. There's not a whole lot of armoured assets to really stop him. It's just about using his infantry to beat out Yamin's infantry, and it is starting to work out quite well. And Yamin's backline is also pretty weak. I mean, you've got the 2 MG42s, which are actually moving out of position. I think that's definitely a bad play, because they're going to get caught out in the open, and either the Beauforts or Stewart is going to say hello.
I think, and I might be wrong here, I've been wrong before, but there's still a little bit of tentativeness, I think, from Tanner. He's seeing now, yes, we can definitely take this forest, drops a Stewart recon, and he's going to be very, very slow, I think too slow, and kind of shifting the southern forest attack forward.
Yeah, one Pak-38 snipe was actually pretty clutch here. We're seeing Tanner actually relocate some of his tank forces along to the central area of the map, which is definitely going to lose him that momentum down south, but the center area is 1, 2, potentially 3 flags he could get control over, and Tanner kind of needs the flags right now.
There's a ridiculous amount of planes on the battle space again. We have 2 recon planes for some strange reason. BF-109 is trying desperately to pick up a P-51, not to be able to do it. Okay, but I feel like we're missing an opportunity here, lads. You're definitely missing something.
Yeah. I do like how both sides are using recon planes quite heavily. I mean, they can be such powerful assets if actually used, but of course, people usually don't take them because they do take up a rather valuable availability slot to something which could drop clusters or high explosives. But still, information warfare is pretty powerful.
That's true. As that most sage of advisors once said, knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
So.
And the other half is red and blue lasers.
Yes, and having your opponent shake their fist at you and say something like, "I'll get you next time, Joe."
Poor Joe.
Oh, yeah.
All the hassle. I do love, we're seeing the mortar half-track being brought out here. Tanner going to be using that effectively to knock out the MG42 positions. And using artillery like this is definitely a very good play against the 17th SS. As, I mean, they do have a decent amount of armoured support, but it's a lot of anti-tank guns, machine guns, Panzer Grenadiers. So you want to be able to route them out from a safe distance indirectly.
That's true, but right now, actually, the mortar track isn't even aiming at the actual, let's say, more machine gun positions. It's actually dropping rounds to the south.
Yeah, it's a weird spot. It's not planning to really push here, so
No.
It's an odd area to strike.
Actually, one of the things I think that is even stranger still is there's the Pac-38, the 50 mil door knocker in the central part of the map. Um, I understand tearing out the APCR shells, but at that point, all he's done is he's just shown his position, and he's just going to get taken completely out here.
Yeah, he really needed a Pack 40 for that position, especially now where it's Tanner is bringing up the heavier armor at Jumbo. I say it's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, but the nice thing of 17% is, well, first you get Ju-87s with the rocket, not the rocket, the gun podge, and secondly you got the Pack 43s, and thirdly you got Ju-88s. So he has a decent amount of firepower to knock out these rather cumbersome tanks.
That's true for now, for darn sure. Another gun run happening. Is he looking for it? Yeah, he's going after the Jumbo. So, actually, there's not a lot of ground fire that can be brought to bear here. You know, Mod Deuce maybe, but I think that Jumbo's might be on its way out. Last
there we go.
round.
That was a good kill. I was not expecting that to penetrate from the front. But he is going to pay. Probably shot in between the turret ring, a War Thunder critical hit. Oh, the P-50 runs too fast.
Well, the Ju-88's actually going to hit the mortar half-track, I think, too. Rounds are coming in. Yeah, that guy's dead. Yep.
Oh, wow. This is such an insane amount of air power, and we're only just into the start of B phase, but it's really paying off for Yamin. Both those kills here are pretty damn valuable.
Oh, extremely valuable. I mean, yes, there still is another mortar track over there. In fact, there's some in the second and only other one. But regardless, that is still a very, very, very important kill.
Yeah. So far, the match is still pretty even Stevens. Okay, never mind. Tanner getting the 13-11. And Tanner regaining that central position is definitely a great play for him. He can potentially grab 2 more flags in the center if he decides to push. Where it seems like Yamin is definitely focusing his forces on the far south. If he can kick Tanner off the hill, he'd be in a good spot. But there's not a whole lot of flags here for him to really take advantage of. Potentially 2 to run on the road.
True. The hero flak 20 mil is going to go down here in a second. He's engaged by that Stewart. I don't think the Stoke's going to get there in time. No, he's not. But that Stoke is going to go and I think cause the Stewart to pay his own iron price. The Stewart says, screw that and F's right off, which is a good call.
Yeah, very good call. I would not want to really engage any other tank if I'm in a Stuart. I really just wouldn't want to be in a Stuart. Could I just please get a Sherman?
True, but I think I'd like a Sherman Calliope, because at that point I wouldn't be on the front lines necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm there for artillery support for a reason.
Yeah, or like the best job probably is to be an anti-aircraft gunner for the rest and allies, because you're just sitting there. It's like, well, there's no planes to shoot down.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like eventually they'd be like, yes, let's go. We use you for infantry support. And you're like, dude,
No.
I'm not meant to fire that direction.
No. A coward, goddammit. Leave me in the back.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Oh,
Stroke, in the meantime, is going to be engaging some armored LMG rifles. I'm sorry, sir, yes?
Oh no, this is the 109s.
Yeah, one thing I've been surprised by, there hasn't been a lot of committed rocket strikes, which is weird. Legionary, in the meantime, Faust kills that Stewart.
Good kill, and that's going to regain a part of his central position here for the Yamin. I mean, having that one dug out in the field is going to allow him to clear up the center, and he could potentially counterattack and regain quite a lot of flags here, because the central position is all about who has the biggest gun.
And I can tell you right now, it's not that half-track. Who has no ammunition. He's completely Winchester right now.
Buggered. But we're seeing a heavy fire support being brought in. Not 1, but 2 M15 CGMCs. That's a heavy amount of anti-aircraft fire support. But he definitely needs it, considering just how deadly Yamin's air power has been.
But see, that kind of makes my point, though, for me, is that if you're going to go and take a look at the CGMCs, yes, there's been air power, but I feel the CGMCs utilized far more as infantry support platforms, and not to to go away from that, but massive armor push down in the south. Was that 1, 2 Stewarts? We got ourselves no 1 Stewart, 2 Shermans. We got a 105 Sherman, and then an M4A1 upgun. So yeah, I don't know what the heck can actually push that back. This might be the time to pull the trigger on the 150 Nebelwerfer.
Yeah, that's just a whole lot of armored assets at close range. He only has one Panzerfaust squad down here. I mean, a lot of the infantry and some... Well, they have an okay amount of Panzerfaust with 17th SS, but as we're seeing here in his current situation, he definitely wishes he probably have some more. Maybe some Panzerschrecks as well.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that if you go and you suppress them, you're not actually going to have your opponent retreat very quickly. So you had a potential, I think, nuke the other side of that forest, and then you laugh. You sit back and you laugh.
Or off-map, that's also a pretty good idea for dealing with such a concentrated force.
Sure.
Or more bombs. I mean, he's been definitely liking the bomber aircraft. We've seen 2 P-51s all the way up north. I think I'm trying to get an angle into Yamin's backline. Oh no! Let's see. I just want to strike for Flag 38. That'd be a bit silly.
And yet, I feel like the P-51 has some stress resistance that I think it makes a much better call for it. Ju-88, though, is going to go and bomb that.
Ooh, Ju-88.
Yes.
There we go. Who needs you off-map when you have temporary on-map artillery?
Now, unfortunately, he fires the wrong side of the forest.
Oh. Okay, second run.
Doesn't hit the forest whatsoever. Yeah, the 50 cals are down. You do.
Woo!
And the middle part of the map goes right back over here to Yamin. So we are into phase B quite comfortably. And I say comfortably, I don't mean really for the 3rd Armored. I feel like they're taking that spearhead thing a little bit too literally as they put all of their eggs in one very, very tenuous basket.
Yeah. And this could be a very dangerous push because he's pushing through even more forest here. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot of anti-tank, so it will actually work out for him. He doesn't really have much... I mean, his recon is dead right now. There's Jeep 50 cows. He doesn't have a whole lot of infantry supporting, so... he could overextend and kind of screw himself over.
Certainly has possibility, that's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, just the central side being flipped over to Yamin is such a big play. Because that's gonna, just that one stug is keeping everything at bay right now. It's gonna force Tanner to, yeah, buy an M10 as well as a jumbo. And heck, we're seeing a long tom being brought up.
Well, the long tom I think I like, because the 155, nice suppression on the back lines, and it's very, very accurate for what it brings to the table.
Yeah, it's a fantastic artillery piece, and of course, having radio-corrected shot, and considering pretty much every bloody American unit has radios on it, it's very easy to get accurate artillery fire.
Tell you what's not so accurate. We have both those M10s trying to engage that Stug. Stug doesn't have that range on them. Remember, guys, it's 1750 as opposed to the actual 2000 that we see over here from the M10. But I imagine he's going to shoot enough, and yep, he's going to start to engage his tormentors.
A risky maneuver considering he's outgunned and also outstressed here. But he does have a decent amount of armor.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And the APCR shells for both the M10s are gone, and so is he. Yikes.
Yep. And this is going to flip over the middle, probably over to Tanner once again. Ju-87 being brought in. I couldn't see if he got a kill or not, but the upgun Sherman is still alive.
Well, the 105 is gone.
Okay.
And one of the Stewarts is gone, so it's a potential. It's a lot of potential. I don't know for what kind of potential, but there's potential.
Yep. And Yamin still has that Panzerschreck in the forest, so if he was to move it up, he could potentially knock out one or both of the tanks. And yeah, Tanner just kind of overextended a little bit down south.
I'll tell you also, those BF-109s are going to overextend right into the ground. While we've not been paying attention to the northern side, so 152 off-map has been utilized here to really suppress those Americans, and geez, they are just slaughtering what's there. One frantic retreat from this Stewart, and that's all that really exists right now. Those other two guys are either going to get forced into surrender or killed.
I completely forgot there was a northern flank of this map, huh?
I think Tanner kind of did for a little bit here too, which is the problem.
Yes, but this is a great play here from Yamin, because with his more infantry-focused deck, it's going to be pretty easy for him to hold out forest. You know, slap a few anti-tank guns along the forest, and, well, especially a Pak-43, you can just kind of snipe anything that comes down the road. But he's pulling back a little bit right now. He's not fully committing to his push.
Which I kind of understand, because as much as we're making fun of the 3rd Armored there still is those half tracks that kind of come in with anything and everything. And the IG-18s, I mean, IG-18s will be able to kind of suppress this considerably, but you still have to watch out for those kind of mobile platforms.
Yeah. I still think off-map artillery is being dropped. That's right, he isn't fully committing to the push. It's like 1 or 2 artillery explosions. But yeah, he's finally pushing up the infantry, but it did give Tanner just enough time to bring in some reinforcements. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of half-track firepower, and not a whole lot of AT here from Yamin.
Well, this Legionary is going to go after the Edge Lord Stewart, so... Gonna lose some guys, but at the same time, here comes the Faust. No. Faust it, dude.
Come on!
There we go. Alrighty.
Nice.
And down south, in the meantime, we've gone back to not really a détente per se, but a lot of that American might has just continued to move to the central position. I don't know. I kind of feel like he should be rotating to one side or the other. I feel like he's missing an opportunity here.
Tanner?
For Tanner, yes. Like, I understand the idea of, like, yes, the center's been weak the entire time, but one, you know that there's going to be an 88 or 2. As you can see right now, one's moving up, even just a little bit further. So you don't want to be on those open ground. I feel like as limited as the range might happen to you in those forest things, you want to be out of line of sight for a lot of those anti-tank guns. You're going to know that Pak-43 is going to be placed generally on open ground.
Yeah, it's kind of the tough call, but at the same time, he also has heavy artillery, which he can use to rout out the Pak-43. It's just the risk of... he's going to lose a tank or 2 to it, which you're going to have to pay the price for if you want to push up in the south, or in the center, is what I meant. No, it's a good point. Like, where do you push? Like, do you want to get screwed in the open, or get screwed by Panzerschrecks?
The thing is, I'd rather go against the Panzerschrecks, because that's easier for me to kind of go and immediately suppress. The Pak-43, there's an awful lot of them. Comparatively speaking, I mean, 4 of them overall. Not easy.
Yeah.
Now, folks, what you heard there is a textbook kind of... Sure, Con. I hear
No, I do know. I was an affirmative, yeah, but not like an energetic, yeah. Just like no, it's a lot of Pak-43s. I was also looking. He doesn't have any Pak-40s. Like he has a lot of Stugs and a lot of like tank destroyers available to him, but it is a decent amount of Pak-43s for him to use. You can just keep throwing them into the center. But as you're seeing right now, Long Tom is just currently pounding that hill. So I'm guessing he's going to pound it a bit more before moving up.
That might be the case. There's also been Naval First Strike looking for the CGMCs, but the CGMCs are going to start to rotate here. I actually really like the way that Tanner's been playing with his lighter vehicles. Not the tanks maybe as much, but the light vehicles have been fairly consistent about shifting position after utilizing them. So that's pretty nice right there.
He's been using a lot of Stuarts, which I find quite surprising. I mean, they're decent, but they're not the best light tank, but you have them, and you have a lot of tank slots available to you in the third armor, so you can afford to take a few light tanks. And on a map like this with heavy forests, like, it's much better to throw a Stuart up to be the vanguard rather than a jumbo.
Certainly agree on that one. Now, to the north, there is a jumbo, and there is an M4A1. And those two are pushing forward. Kind of a tough customer to kind of take care of here, but there still are things like the Martyr 3 that's sitting off the front lines. We have Panzerschreck, so when that lovely little jumbo gets close, it ain't gonna be pretty for him. So see what happens here.
For Tanner, it's really his best bet. Just hold what he has up north. He has the flag on the crossroad. He can pretty much keep Yamin's head down by not poking out of the forest. But if he tries to push through that forest, it's going to be very costly for him. There's a lot of very angry Italians in there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're getting a secondary kind of push coming on in here along this ridgeline. Actually, I like the pathing of this one. You see right now, south to northwest, there is that Pak-43. He is stressed heavily right now, and justifiably so. But, wait a second. For some reason, he's firing 2 barrages, I think, a naval purpose out of jumbo. It's a curious decision, Cotton.
Really just doesn't like jumbos.
But you know what? Big boned people need loving too, so I'm not really sure I really understand the hatred. So
And, yep, gets a complete fallback. And he does have a second Pack 43 being brought out here. So it's just about whether we can get him into position to deal with the other armoured assets. Up north, we're seeing 2 German recon planes and an American recon plane trying to go in hot on the G1.
I think the recon planes are there just to kind of soak up the AI runs. I think that's just one of those things that's kind of like, oh yes, we're going to try to go and take advantage of the fact that it's going to prefer to engage one over another.
Yeah, like a hot air balloon. Or
Exactly.
a barrage balloon. That's...
A hot air balloon by any other name is still, tactically is worthless.
Indeed, we got hot air balloons. And lots of them.
Oof. And at long last, the 51 does go down.
Oh yeah.
Which is surprising. I mean, those things are built to last, that's for darn sure. And why we weren't paying attention, down south, the Italians are making a tentative push, being backed up by lots of pioneers. And I'm not going to say that Yamin is going to be able to push this, American position back, but the Americans are going to be forced to bring in more material down to the south. And like you said before, 17th has the advantage of having better late game infantry, which is to say they actually brought infantry for the late game.
Yes, yes, and its game is starting to become a bit grindy now. I mean, both sides are Maverick income, so offensive operations are going to be a little bit slower compared to what they were 10 minutes ago. So for the Yamin, if he can just kind of secure the southern side, just pretty much secure a little bit of the middle, he doesn't really have to do any crazy pushes. Time is on his side, as both of the same income. He can just, build defense in depth by spamming loads of Panzer Grenadiers.
Well, and he's doing that right now, too. Now, the interesting thing for me is if you look to the northern side, a lot of the American infantry forced back in kind of disarray. There's a lot of incoming fire. The major concern is whenever this jumbo gets back into play and whenever the M4A1 gets into play.
Yeah, the Jumbo and the M4A1 are essentially just going to have to play whack-a-mole with any German unit which pops out of that forest, and they might be a little bit overwhelmed.
True. True. I mean, they are going to get kills here. You can see right now getting a kill or two as is. That Pioneer Squad needs to get out. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look it back down to the southern side again as the heaviest vehicle that's down there is his Stuart that's still 2 kilometers from the front lines.
Yeah, the Yamin's got a very good position on this hill now, very close to capturing the Ron Road position, but Tanner just has enough defense just on the edge of that hill with, what was left of his mechanized platoon. But Yamin is slowly pulling in. He still has light vehicles available, and those are going to come in very handy down south.
Well, and that forest is not going to be there for very long. You're going to see right now, yes, there's still two squads there, but there's also 1,000 kilograms of bombs that are going to be coming down right about now-ish.
Oh, he's pulled back. Ju-88 didn't get its load off.
I thought he was going to drop his load, and I was like, it's right there. It's going to happen. It's going to be ugly. But and then nothing happened.
Oh.
You know what? Man, whatever.
I wanted a big explosion too. But yeah, Yamin now have the +2 to 15-9 for capturing the road down south. And he's just in a very good position now. We're seeing artillery trying to kill the mortar half-track. We might get the kill because the supply truck is so close. But nope, there's a second strike.
I don't think you got the mortar half-track, but killing the supply truck is almost as good.
Yeah, that's definitely a worthwhile volley. And
also, a quick rush. Forgive me from into the northern side for those 3 armored pushes and the half-track, killing the momentum on that and probably reversing any kind of attempted breakout from the Americans in that sector.
Long Tom Manson to snipe a Pack 43 here. So not a bad kill, and these Ju-88 is just having a very hard time. Tanner has a pretty good anti-aircraft net as well as an air defense network, with the P-51 being brought in. It's probably going to be a dead Ju... Oh no! He's not going to risk it, because Yamin also has a good anti-aircraft network.
10s are rotating. Interesting call there. Makes sense. I'm trying to think if there's any way that Yamin's troops can swing around and maybe get some good sight lines on the M10. So the only thing I could think of, maybe rotating into that forest, and that's going to be a very, very slow push.
Yeah, I feel like at this point Tanner's definitely running low on infantry, and he can bring in a lot of tanks, and pretty damn good tanks at that, but he can't clear the forest if he doesn't have infantry, and he doesn't have a whole lot of artillery or bomber planes to really augment the ability to push forest. So even though Yamin pretty much has a lot of just non-anti-tank infantry, it's still infantry you have to blow through, and that takes time.
Yes, yes, it does. I mean, right now it still is 13 and 10, 11, excuse me,
Oh wow,
in
flip over.
favor of Tanner. But that's something I would be super ecstatic about were I on the American side.
Yeah, Tanner just managed to grab one flag up north of the half track, so not a very definitive capture. He's
No.
definitely on the back end. I mean, we're seeing probably a few more flags will flip over in the middle if Yamin brings in some forces. Neighbour Earth strike up north, not doing a whole lot.
Which is justifiably okay. Yeah, geez, those Flak 36s and Flak 38s, I didn't expect to see both of those there. F6 might go down from this. Speculative, yep, there he goes. And the Ju-87, the second craziest killer today, goes in. Does he get it? He gets a Stewart.
Oh, as a Sherman.
Oh wow, with that, I was looking at the wrong thing there. My bad.
Yeah, not a bad kill. Yamin is really starting to, make some plays down south, moving both Pack 38s to try and get into a good defensive position. He's really just trying to hook round here so he can really have a good defensive position over the Valley with that one flag.
But I'm pretty sure if he's able to take out the M10s, that's when the entire northern side falls.
Yeah, it's really his loss of his substantial firepower up here. And those M10s, well, they don't have any high explosive. Well, one has 3 HE shells, so
Sure.
it'll be very useful for like 10 seconds.
One has 2 HE shells. Yeah, the Legionary are still going to die here and there. But one is 1410. And the northern side, that half track is still firing at the moment, but he's not going to survive very, very long. Yeah, I think we're starting to see the collapse of American forces on the field.
Yeah, and we're seeing Tanner does have the ability to bring out loads of tanks, but he can't really do anything with them because all the areas are filled with infantry. And really on a Maverick on Maverick match like his, most of the time the infantry spammy player would usually be in a better position because you can just you can cover more ground with cheap infantry compared to tanks.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. But the Americans are not giving up just yet. Of course, they're not giving up just yet, but I'm not sure if that's tenacity or just sheer bloody-minded stubbornness. It's one or the other.
Wants to see every Sherman gets blown up.
Every Sherman gets a shave.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes
And
sense.
the top comes off too.
Ooh.
Yeah, new feature.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get to see inside, get to play with the guys in there, but oh no, that's just a meat boya base. Oopsie.
I've seen Tanner really trying to make some pushes down south with some half tracks, running into the Armada 3. Yeah, he's just really paralyzed at this point. I mean, we're just zooming out on the map. It's definitely much more blue than there is red. A lot of recon planes.
And it's all concentrated blue for that matter too. I mean, we've definitely seen replays where, yes, there's a blue, superiority in one center of the field, but the other side just like a scratch defense. Not so here. We have clusters of troops for Yamin everywhere you look.
Yep. And he still has many more he can bring out. I'm actually very surprised that a lot of his rinky-dink recon planes are still alive. He's been using them very carefully. He's not been flying them over the enemy front line to get shot down. He's using them more in the rear and just trying to get an odd spot here or there. Which is how you should really be using those aircraft, especially in the late match like this with heavy anti-aircraft nets. You have to use them a bit more as a defensive recon unit.
True. But I mean, that's how they kind of were utilized overall.
Yeah.
Naval Burfers continue to trying to find... They find a single vehicle at a time and try to completely stress it out. Maybe not the best use of munitions. I think I probably would target the front lines. Of course, I said that's when Jumbo goes down with 100 to 1 shot. Jeez.
I'm quite surprised that killed it, actually. I think he just was shelling it enough. I never really think about using neighbor rifles as like direct like anti-tank shellers. Here we go, P-51 knocking out a JR-88. So Tanner's actually gaining a decent amount of momentum in the center here, but it's a Pac-43.
Pac-43 there. There's no one actually to the northern side. So the southern Pac-43, yep, he gets a kill, and an important kill at that, but he does die.
Oh. But a rough roll trade knocking out a valuable jumbo.
Yeah, I definitely would say so myself as well. Down south, CGMCs, yeah, this is how you know it's getting real bad. The CGMCs on the front lines, and he is he's deadly, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if he's the first guy to be like, you know what? I need you guys to take that hill. Yes, sir. I'm sending in the GMC truck, guys.
Yeah, and his M10 still hasn't been resupplied.
Oh, you're absolutely right. So he's got no... Yeah, that's real bad.
He's going to be bringing him into a tank engagement, but it's going to be a pretty dicey one, considering how CQC it's going to be.
Yep, Switchman's a crew kill right there. That's one. Yeah, this is a supremely desperate moment here. And I feel like, yes, that other M10... Wait, the M10 can't even see.
I think his turret rotation was screwing him up, yeah. No, he was pointing right towards it. What the... Huh. Weird.
Aligning bug. There we go. That might be the case. They're Pac-38 in the meantime. They're also going to engage this Sherman down to the south, the M4A3 down here. But with the death, those M10s, that's a massive loss for that part of the theater.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
That's pretty much it, I'd have to say. Let's take us to a ×2 at 50 seconds.
Sure, sounds good. So, folks, as we kind of continue to wrap up this game right here, I had a very interesting comment come from one of you guys out there. Mentioning about the idea of trying to do these replays, one on one side and one from the other. You know, Rang, for example, you would take Tanner's perspective only, and I might have taken Yamin's by itself. I think it's a fascinating idea. Maybe we can think about a good way to do that in the future. But one thing that we want to make sure we give you guys is a nice kind of considerable macro picture of a lot of these plays. Yes, you might miss out on a little bit of the, you know, why is he bringing in a tank here necessarily? We want to make sure we can kind of give you guys the context on both sides, you know, concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
So really, really, really great idea. If we could think of a skillful way to implement that without forcing you guys to watch a, you know, an hour and a half of the same cast, certainly happy to do it. But just want to make sure we called that out. And you can see right now the collapse of the American forces here. There's nothing in the north. There's an M4A3 coming in. It's just another sacrificial lamb. The center is completely gone. The mortar half-track is there. There's a 50 Jeep, which is kind of funny because normally these things have... Yep, there, he's dead. That's usually what happens to him.
That's what happens to those poor Jeeps. And it's just overwhelming firepower. Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to have a pretty nasty KD ratio at the end of this, just considering that everything on Tanner's side is dead.
But helped out by a little bit here at the end. I'd say there's probably a good 300 points or 400 points that just died in this last minute, so... It is bad, don't get me wrong here at the end. Unfortunately, it's just that maybe it won't tell the entirety of the tale.
Oh wow, yeah. Like 1,600-ish difference.
Yeah.
If I'm doing math. I don't know math. I'm just making up numbers.
About right. That's about right.
Cool.
P-51 in the meantime, 2 air kills. Did a good amount of work over here on the ground. Got a tank or two that did pretty well. But this is kind of the issue. The tanks weren't engaging other tanks for obvious reasons. I mean, the 17th SS is not a tank division. And you can see, if you're having a single tank take out 2 squads of infantry, 1 squad of infantry, that's not an efficient use here.
Yeah, yeah. And looking at losses...
Whoa! God. Yes.
It's like Handrudo call in? Like, jeez.
7 kills for him.
Wow. That's... And it was a pretty hostile airspace, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Bachmann as well. More light vehicles, but did kill a couple of Shermans, so well done to him as well. Yeah, I mean, this is what you need to have. Yeah, Martyr 3 just beating up on a lot of light vehicles. Yeah, this was a surprisingly good matchup, I would argue, for the 17th SS. If you can get infantry parity, yes, you might give up a pound or two in terms of tanks, but if you put up meat shields, that's the way to go about it, I feel.
Yeah, it's SD2 is definitely a very infantry heavy game, and as you can see, I mean, you can have all the fancy tanks, but infantry hold ground, and having cheap spammable infantry, which you can use to hold ground, usually
Mhm.
allows you to win matches.
Exactly. Exactly. But any final thoughts, sir?
No,
Well, folks, in that case, then, until Thursday, I'm Connell.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.